Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am super excited about today's topic because it is a big one. It is something that I quickly jumped on when I started to learn the universe and the laws about it all. This was something that I knew had to happen. So, we are going to talk all about forgiveness, true, real forgiveness, not that whole thing that people love to do and say, oh, yeah, I forgive that person. But they don't. Deep down inside, it is wreaking havoc on their life. And it is super important that we get to a state of true, unfazed forgiveness because it is detrimental to where we're going. We have to be able to let go of the past to move forward. And if we're bringing the past into the future, we just create chaos. So let's get to all of the pieces of how to look at situations and circumstances and people, of how to actually truly forgive. And now also keep in mind, if there is something truly at the core where you're like, I just can't forgive this. No matter what you say, I will not be able to forgive this. There is a core emotional root cause to that we are going to get into today that will also help heal that resistance to not forgiving somebody. So let's dive into it. Like I said, I love this topic because early on, I knew that I had to look at my past and heal it because I was carrying around so many situations, so many circumstances, so many people in my mind that I was upset with, that I couldn't let go of. And this was something that I think it was, step 3, where I was just like, I need to remove this. So forgiveness was a huge part of me being able to move forward. And we're going to talk about the way I looked at everything based off of all the universal laws that we've talked about and other pieces for us to truly understand what is actually going on. Now, just know, obviously, depending on what you're forgiving, it can feel like a level 10 to you, or you can say, yes, this is a level 10, meaning this is absolutely unforgivable. But just trust me on this. The more it triggers you, the more that this information is actually supposed to get into your system. It should resonate with you deep at the core, even if your whole body is resisting it. And again, we'll get to the core emotion about the resistance later on, but let's just get into all the steps of how you can start looking at situations and circumstances that we have not let go of. So obviously, we have talked about that this universe is always in complete balance. I think you might have heard, I've heard the saying, like when someone is born, someone dies. When someone dies, someone is born. That is the law of balance. That means, like we've talked about, that everything is both good and bad at the same time in the situation. We are constantly in a state of balance. Literally, scientifically, we have to be, or we would combust. Energy has to have that plus and minus at the same time. And our whole universe is in complete balance. So you may have heard me talk about bubbles. So our household, right? Like right now, the house that I'm in, my little dog is with me. It's just me and him. And there's ants that are going everywhere right now. But everything in my house is in complete balance. It is our own personal universe, and everything is in that bubble. We can also look at a state as a bubble, the United States as a bubble. You can look at a partnership of two people as one bubble. Each bubble is going to be in complete balance at all times. I bring this up because it's really good for you to understand that the law of balance is playing as a whole of our universe, but it's also playing in situations and circumstances, in mini bubbles. My neighborhood is in a bubble. Everything is constantly in an encased, perfect universe, both good and bad, happening all at the same time. Everything that we need is in that bubble. This is science. Now, if we know this to be true based off of science, that means any situation that you have gone through, any trauma, person that has caused you harm, that is a bubble. That situation with this person is a bubble, which means there actually has to be scientifically a positive and a negative in that situation. So whatever did happen in there, we obviously know what the negative is. It's the part that we don't want to forgive. But there is a positive in that situation, whether we want to admit it or not, no matter how much we kick and scream and say, no, I will not let this person off the hook. We have to be able to see this bubble in the situation and say, there is both positive and negative in this situation. And if we choose to see the positive, we are going to start balancing it out in our mind. It's just getting you to see the whole picture. I want you to understand that there is positive in there. There is something that you gained from a situation. Now, just remember, whenever we go through something that is positive, we tend not to grow. But in something that is negative, we always grow. No matter what, hands down, we gain something from it because there is something that shifts in us. There is some sort of empowerment moment. There is some form of growth, understanding, learning of self that if we did not have that situation happen, we would not have gained that. So those are the positive things to look at. But I want to first just give you that law that scientifically, in any bubble, any situation, there is both positive and negative happening at the exact same time. At the same time that is going on negative, there is a positive that you are gaining. So whatever you are needing to forgive in the past, know that this is a law of the universe that is going on in this situation. Now, if we go a little bit deeper, a little bit more spiritual, there is a much bigger thing at play. And this is something that's super important to remember. When we come into this lifetime, we have a reoccurring lesson that we are mastering. And it could take 5 lifetimes to master, or it could take 2 lifetimes. It just depends on what the reoccurring lesson is. Now, before we come in with this reoccurring lesson that's going to help us master ourselves so we can do our soul pull, if you've heard me talk about that, the thing that we are here to do, this reoccurring lesson helps us get to that soul pull. Now, with this reoccurring lesson, we obviously have to master it. The only way we master it, you probably hear me say this all the time, is an embodiment of it. We can't just read a book and then do nothing with the information. We actually have to experience it through our body so we can embody new things and move forward. Before we come into this lifetime with this reoccurring lesson and this plan to hit our soul pull, hopefully, this reoccurring lesson has to have moments for us to master it. So before we come in, we all, our soul family, the souls that are here to help us grow, all have soul contracts with us, meaning they have agreements to show up and play a part in our story. Now, if you have listened to me a million times, you know that this is an inside-out world, which means nothing can be done to us unless we are doing it to ourselves. We have an electromagnetic field around us that holds all of the components of what we are doing to ourselves and puts it on a blueprint that says, act this out to me. This is how I treat myself, so it can be done to me. It is a mirror to help us understand how to deeply love ourselves and get back to a place of balance. So these souls decide to play out scripts for us. There are certain souls that say, I am going to be your best friend and I'm going to be your support system. But there's also souls who deeply, deeply love us that say, I'm going to play the villain in this lifetime. And usually the people who play the villain in this lifetime loved us extremely deeply in a past lifetime. They loved us so much that they are willing, and I mean willing, to show up in this lifetime and say, I might hold a ton of guilt for what I'm going to do to you, and it's going to wreak havoc on my life. But I love you so much that I'm willing to do that. I will play out the piece that you need to hear. So an extreme high version of this, obviously, is physical abuse. If you are having physical abuse done to you, it means you are highly, highly beating yourself up in many different ways, that it creates it to happen back to you. The person that is playing that out is actually a soul who said, I agree to play this character out for you. And that soul is deeply, deeply in acceptance of saying, I love you so much. I'm going to play this out and it might wreak havoc on my life, but I love you enough to make sure you get where you need to go. Again, you have a reoccurring lesson. That reoccurring lesson could be unconditional love for self, which means everything about unconditional love has to be healed. One of those things obviously would have to be getting rid of beating yourself up for things. So the only way we're going to learn is go through the situation, gain knowledge, gain understanding of self, and then heal it. Because I'm sure you've had this experience when something bad happens, maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, maybe the third time, you go, okay, enough is enough. I need to figure something out. You go seek out a therapist. You go book a healing session. You do something. You might even go into personal training, mastering the body so you don't feel like you are completely out of body when something like that happens. Empowerment happens when we are in a state of negative. Now, the difference from living a human life versus a spiritual life is the negative moments in a human way eats us alive. Meaning, in the past, when I've gone through these things, I kept that storybook running and I didn't feel that empowered from it. I felt like it wreaked havoc on my life. The spiritual way of living is understanding the universal laws of this whole universe to completely take a moment like that and come out on top and go, I'm going to gain the most from this moment. If you use spiritual understandings, it is all for you. So forgiveness is a spiritual understanding. If we forgive, you will gain more from that situation than not forgiving. The more you are able to see the bigger picture of what you gained, who you turned into, understanding that a soul loved you enough to play that part, which means you must be doing that to yourself and you must need to heal that within self. And that's the piece that's stopping you from having the career that you want, the financial money and abundance that you want, the partnership that you're really desiring. That moment can give it to you. But if we don't forgive it, if we don't fully see all the pieces, we can't get that new creation that we are wanting. And you might have moved through the lesson, but the forgiveness is what's stopping the new thing from coming in. So trust me when I say this, the reason why I love living a much higher frequency spiritual life is because you can gain so much value in the most deepest painful moments of your life and you can move through it so quickly. So know that forgiveness is a key element of letting go of these situations and gaining what you're supposed to get from it. It is so super important. And that is, I think, the third thing to keep in mind is, again, we have a soul pull that we are all here to hit, meaning something that your soul came to do. Now, to get that, we have to have mastery of self, which means we have to deeply understand ourselves, heal the wounds that we've carried from other lifetimes into this lifetime, heal that reoccurring lesson so that you can teach the pieces and components to the world. But we have to take these moments, the worst moments of our lives, and take information from it and gain it, because this is how we master ourselves. This is how we have true mastery of our whole vessel. And so for me, whenever there is something that's super heavy, super traumatic, it is, I know for me, the deepest, richest value that I can gain for myself. And knowing that if I do that, I will come up on top. And I say come up on top and not a, like, oh, everyone else needs to be below me, meaning this is my life, meaning your life is all about you. You can gain a ton of information about yourself in this world in every piece of your life. And if you gain it, you can never lose. Never. Which means it will always work out for you. But if we are sitting in an imbalanced place and we are not healing it, we can lose. We can lose out on a lot. So forgiveness is that for me, a place where we can gain so much value just by forgiving. Now, I want you to understand something. Forgiveness is an internal thing. You do not need to have this person in your life. It's about getting completely unfazed by the person. I remember one, well, I remember lots of things I had to forgive, but there is one situation. And I always say to people, if I ran into him on the street, I would hug him and thank him. That is where you want to get to. Unfazed. You don't have to hug. But I got to a place of so unfazed that I would say, thank you. You don't need to be in my life, but thank you for what you played out. I appreciate it. Because I wouldn't be here now, who I am, closer to my soul pole, doing what I love to do without that moment. These moments are soul contracts. They are pivotal to where we're going. So without it, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to remove who you are today, a percentage of it? Because that situation I'm talking about, if that didn't happen, we're talking like 80% of so much of who I am now gets removed. And I don't ever want that. It got me closer to my core self. And that is what would happen to you if you take all your situations from the past and go, who am I not forgiving? These moments shaped who you are today. And they shaped you in a good way. We just have to see the perception of it. Remember, this is internal, which means it's just a perception. You actually can feel this way today. Now, it takes some muscle, elbow grease and all of that to get good at seeing the other side of the coin, to get to a place of going, this soul truly, truly loved me enough to play out this role. It took me a bit to really understand that whole concept of, or the truth of souls and what they play and how they agree to play it out. And the reason why I know that is because there have been times where I'm like, why did I play that out for someone? Why did I just yell at them? A few years ago, I did that and I'm like, oh my God. And it's because their field was so strong that I had to play it out. It was an agreement that I had to do it. And I was willing enough to help that soul shift and go, okay, I'm going to look like crap today, but maybe you'll wake up to this. So just know that we are all playing that role, and there are certain roles that are so heavy. Just know that whatever you went through is your deepest painful trigger to get you to your soul pull. It doesn't matter what it is, but just know it is so tied to you to get your attention for a reason. So just keep these three things in mind. One being the law of balance. Scientifically, it actually has to have good in it. And then on a spiritual concept, just understanding that we have a soul reoccurring lesson. We have a soul pull that we need to get to. And this reoccurring lesson is what's going to get us there. But we have to have points, anchor points, to get us to master this reoccurring lesson. Because if we don't have a push, we won't be willing to go look for the heel of it. So that is why these trigger moments happen. That is why people play things out that we do not like, but they're playing out something that's on our field. And you might say this happened to me at such a young age. That is completely unfair. Trust me, it has to be on your field. And I know that might sound super triggering, but just know that this is here to help you understand how to love yourself deeper, not to have you sit in pain. So just know that they are playing out the story to help you heal something within you. And the third one is that this is all about empowerment, right? Knowing that these moments, you can gain so much from it. And it's that gets you to your soul pull. It's that opens up everything you're wanting in life. If you can see these three things, then you can get into that perfect state of, I forgive them. I understand it. I get what was going on. And if you get to that place of going, that's just going to let them off the hook. It means you don't fully embody what we're talking about, because I was doing it to myself and they played it out. So it's not really about them. It was about me. And I understand that so much to the core that it's not about letting them off the hook. And trust me, everyone has their level 10 pain And they have their own thing going on. That is their level 10 pain. And like I said, if you use your level 10 pains and heal them, you will come up on top. You will gain instead of lose. And trust me, most likely those other people are not healing the stuff. So they are losing. Not that we want that, because we want to be in a complete state of balance of saying, thank you, I get it. This isn't on you. I forgive the whole situation. But just know you can gain more from forgiving. And that is what I want for you, because there's just so much value in it. There's so much richness that you will understand about yourself if you look at these situations and completely go, God, I would never change this for a million years. Now, if at this point your system is going, absolutely not, I still cannot forgive them. Two things to keep in mind. One, this takes a little bit of practice and mastery of understanding how this universe works. The fact that it is an inside-out world, all the laws of the universe, it takes a second to embody that. But if your system is really pushing back, when we refuse to forgive someone else, it is technically a reflection of refusing to forgive ourselves for something. And that is the core emotional root to all of this. So if you are in a state of going, I refuse to forgive this person for what they did to me, it is a reflection, meaning a mirror of you not forgiving yourself for something in your life. And that you definitely don't deserve. You do not deserve to be in a place of hanging something over your head. You don't know things until you know things. We have to learn. So to not forgive yourself for something in the past that maybe you realized, ooh, I didn't want to do that, or, oh, I messed that up and now I know. Well, you didn't know then, and you don't deserve to hold that over your head. And the thing is if you are doing that, if you refuse to forgive yourself, then that makes you a match to people holding things over your head and not letting it go. So you can be in a situation where you have a friend or a partner or a boss or anybody who refuses to let go of something. They just keep coming back to it and they keep holding it over your head and they won't forgive you for it. That's a very clear sign that this is exactly what's going on inside of you. You won't forgive yourself for something. And like I said, you definitely don't deserve that. So know that if at the core you're having a very hard time forgiving somebody for something they did to you in the past, know that somewhere in one of the 8 areas, you will not forgive yourself for something. And that needs to be healed first. You need to let it go. You need to know and have a deep unconditional love for yourself, that we don't know things until we know them. And that is all that is going on. You're looking back and going, oh, okay, I get it now. Well, great, you learned, you grew, and you won't ever do what you did in the past. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with what happened. Because again, if we go back to the law that we are talking about, of the law of balance, both good and bad happened in that scenario. So whatever you are not letting go of yourself, go back and use that law to see both sides so you can let it go. As you can see, there are pieces and components of forgiveness and really being able to see the bigger picture so that you can live a life of taking and getting so much nourishment from moments like this, and healing and letting go and growing and expanding your life and welcoming new things in because we released the past, but also understanding this core root that if we refuse to forgive someone else, it really boils down to us refusing to forgive ourselves. And that is definitely something you do not deserve. So play with these. This is a huge, huge topic. And it takes a second, especially like I said, when I did this, I had a few things that I had to balance out. But once I did 1 or 2, the other ones flew much quicker and I wiped out my past very quickly. But take time, play with maybe a smaller one if there's a big one you're thinking about. But just know that this is the key to unlocking your life, making sure you have the best fulfilling life. So please comment below. Let me know how this all feels. Reach out if any of this is stirring up anything, I am happy to help. And just know that you deserve forgiveness for yourself. And there is never, ever a time you should hold something above your head. And if anybody has done something to you, trust me, it is a doorway to where you want to go. Thank you so much for joining. It means the absolute world to me. My goal is to reach as many people as I possibly can, and I cannot do this without you. So please like, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, share this with anyone you feel like it would resonate with. Again, I cannot do this without you, so thank you.